My name is Amanda Rodriguez, and 3 months ago, I was fired from my job at Pinnacle Marketing for accidentally spilling coffee on my new boss's laptop. Victoria Sterling, our newly appointed regional director, looked at me with pure disgust and said, "Pack your things. You're done here." This is exactly the kind of carelessness I won't tolerate on my team. What Victoria didn't know was that she had just fired the person who held the entire department together. What she didn't understand was that my team's loyalty wasn't to the company, the executives, or even their paychecks. It was to me. And what she definitely didn't expect was that firing me would trigger the most spectacular workplace rebellion in company history. Today, Victoria Sterling is unemployed. Pinnacle Marketing's regional division is in crisis, and I'm the founder of a successful marketing agency built with the exact team she thought she could intimidate and control. If you've ever had a toxic boss who didn't understand what real leadership looks like, if you've ever seen good people suffer under bad management, hit that like button and subscribe for the most satisfying workplace justice story you'll ever hear. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even, it's showing everyone what happens when you mistake fear for respect and authority for leadership. I started at Pinnacle Marketing 5 years ago as a senior account manager, but within 2 years, I had become the unofficial leader of our 12-person regional marketing team. It wasn't because of my title or position on the organizational chart. It was because I genuinely cared about the people I worked with and fought for them every single day. Marketing is a high-pressure, deadline-driven industry where burnout is common and turnover is constant. Most companies treat their marketing staff like disposable resources, expecting them to work 60-hour weeks during campaign launches and accepting resignation letters as an inevitable cost of doing business. I decided early on that my team would be different. When Sarah Mitchell, our youngest team member, was struggling to balance her coursework while finishing her master's degree, I restructured her project assignments to give her more flexibility with deadlines. When James Chen's father was diagnosed with cancer, I covered his client calls during hospital visits and made sure his workload was manageable while he dealt with family crisis. When the company refused to approve Jennifer Walsh's request for professional development training, I used my own budget allocation to send her to the certification program she needed. When Marcus Thompson was going through a difficult divorce, I ran interference with demanding clients so he could attend court hearings without jeopardizing his job security. These weren't just nice gestures, they were strategic investments in building a team that trusted each other and worked together toward common goals. And the results spoke for themselves. Our department consistently exceeded quarterly targets by 15 to 20%. We had the highest client retention rate in the company. Our campaigns won industry awards and generated case studies that the sales team used to attract new business. Most importantly, we had 0 voluntary turnover in 3 years. Unheard of in the marketing industry. "Amanda, I don't know how you do it," our former regional director, Robert Kim, told me during my last performance review with him. "Your team would follow you anywhere, and they produce better work than departments twice their size." The secret wasn't magic or manipulation. It was treating people like human beings instead of productivity units. I made sure everyone felt heard during team meetings. I celebrated personal milestones like birthdays, work anniversaries, and project completions. I defended my team against unreasonable client demands and pushed back against company policies that would have overworked or undervalued them. When conflicts arose between team members, I mediated fairly and focused on solutions rather than blame. When someone made a mistake, I took responsibility publicly and addressed the issue privately. When the company tried to cut our department budget, I fought in executive meetings to protect my team's resources and compensation. Most importantly, I made sure everyone understood that their success was my priority, not the other way around. "You know what I love about working for Amanda?" Jennifer told Sarah during a coffee break that I accidentally overheard. "She always has our backs. When clients get crazy or management gets unreasonable, she's the one who stands up for us." "I've never had a boss who actually cared about my career growth," Marcus added. "Most managers just want you to do your job and stay quiet. Amanda actively looks for ways to help us advance." Building that kind of loyalty took years of consistent actions, not grand gestures. It meant staying late to help someone meet a deadline, speaking up for team members during budget discussions, and always keeping my promises, even when it was inconvenient or costly. By the time Robert Kim was promoted to vice president and we were told we'd be getting a new regional director, our team was more than just colleagues. We were a unified group that genuinely supported each other and trusted our leadership structure. That trust was about to be tested in ways none of us could have imagined. Victoria Sterling joined Pinnacle Marketing with an impressive resume and a reputation for turning around underperforming departments. She had an MBA from Wharton, experience at Fortune 500 companies, and a track record of increasing increasing productivity and reducing costs at her previous positions. During her first week, Victoria scheduled individual meetings with each team member to assess current capabilities and identify optimization opportunities. The clinical language should have been our first warning sign. My meeting with Victoria was scheduled for a Tuesday afternoon. I prepared thoroughly, bringing performance metrics, client feedback summaries, and project timelines that demonstrated our department's success under my informal leadership. Amanda, I've reviewed your file and your team's recent performance, Victoria said, barely looking up from her laptop as I entered her office. I have some concerns about the departmental structure and workflow efficiency. I'd be happy to discuss any questions you have, I replied. Our team has consistently exceeded targets, and we've maintained excellent client relationships. That's exactly the problem, Victoria said, finally making eye contact. You're operating like you're the department head when you're just a senior account manager. This informal leadership structure creates confusion and undermines proper authority channels. I was taken aback. I'm sorry, I don't understand. Are you saying our results are problematic? I'm saying that results achieved through improper organizational structure are unsustainable. A team should follow company hierarchy, not personal relationships. Victoria opened a folder and began reading from what appeared to be a prepared list. I've identified several issues. Team members coming to you with problems instead of following proper reporting procedures, client communications being routed through you rather than appropriate channels, and project decisions being made without executive approval. Each item she mentioned was actually a strength of our team's collaborative approach, but Victoria was framing them as violations of corporate protocol. Additionally, she continued, I've noticed that your team has become overly comfortable. Late arrivals, extended lunch breaks, personal conversations during work hours. This casual attitude is incompatible with the professional standards I expect. The accusations were absurd. Our team arrived early, worked through lunches during busy periods, and maintained excellent productivity despite the collaborative, supportive environment I had fostered. Victoria, I think there might be some misunderstanding about how our department operates, I said carefully. Our approach has been very successful, and the team is highly motivated. Amanda, let me be clear, Victoria interrupted. I wasn't brought here to maintain the status quo. I was hired to optimize operations and establish proper management protocols. Your role will be to manage client accounts, not team dynamics. So you're saying I should stop supporting my colleagues? I'm saying you should focus on your actual job description instead of playing manager. The meeting ended with Victoria outlining new procedures. All team communications would go through her, project approvals required her sign-off, client interactions needed her oversight, and any deviation from standard protocols would result in disciplinary action. As I left her office, I knew we were headed for conflict. Victoria saw our team's collaborative strength as a threat to her authority, and she was determined to break down the relationships that made us effective. Over the next 2 weeks, Victoria implemented her changes with ruthless efficiency. She instituted daily check-ins, where team members had to account for their time in 15-minute increments. She required written justification for any project decision that deviated from standard templates. She eliminated our weekly team meetings and replaced them with individual progress reports. Most damaging, she explicitly prohibited team members from consulting with each other on projects without her prior approval. Sarah told me privately after a particularly frustrating day. She doesn't understand that collaboration is why our campaigns are successful. I've never felt so micromanaged in my life, James added. She questions every decision and acts like we're incompetent children. The team's morale plummeted. People started arriving exactly on time and leaving precisely at 5 o'clock. The informal knowledge sharing that had made us innovative and efficient disappeared. Client relationships began to suffer as Victoria inserted herself into communications that had previously been handled smoothly by experienced team members. But Victoria seemed pleased with these changes, interpreting them as evidence that she was successfully establishing proper workplace discipline. That's when she made the mistake that would end her career at Pinnacle Marketing. The incident that destroyed Victoria's authority happened on a Thursday morning during our monthly client presentation meeting. We were hosting executives from Meridian Financial, our largest client, to review the quarterly campaign results and discuss strategy for the upcoming product launch. I had spent weeks preparing the presentation with input from the entire team. Despite Victoria's new restrictions, we had managed to collaborate informally to create what I knew would be an impressive showing of our capabilities and results. The presentation was scheduled for 9 a.m. in the main conference room. I arrived at 8:30 to set up materials and test the audiovisual equipment. Victoria arrived at 8:45 with her laptop and immediately began rearranging the room layout and questioning my preparation. Amanda, why isn't the Meridian contract renewal proposal included in these materials? She asked, rifling through the presentation folders. The renewal discussion isn't scheduled until next month, I replied. Today's meeting focuses on campaign performance and the new product launch strategy. I think we should use this opportunity to introduce renewal terms. It shows initiative and forward thinking. Victoria, that wasn't what we agreed to present, and the client isn't expecting to discuss renewal terms today. Bringing it up unexpectedly could seem pushy. I'm the regional director, Amanda. I decide what we present to clients. At 8:55, as the Meridian team was arriving, Victoria was still trying to modify our carefully prepared presentation to include content that hadn't been reviewed or approved by the client. I was setting up coffee service when she demanded that I find the renewal proposal documents immediately. I hurried to the supply room where we kept archived files, searching through boxes of client documents while keeping one eye on the clock. At exactly 9:02, I found the renewal folder and rushed back to the conference room where Victoria and the Meridian executives were making small talk. Here are the renewal documents, I said quietly, approaching Victoria's seat at the head of the table. As I leaned over to place the folder next to her laptop, my coffee mug, which I had forgotten I was holding, caught the edge of her computer and tipped over. Coffee splashed across Victoria's keyboard and screen. She shrieked and jumped up, knocking over her chair and causing the Meridian executives to stare in shock. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry!" I immediately grabbed napkins and started trying to clean up the spill. "Let me help you dry off the laptop." "Don't touch it!" Victoria snapped, yanking the computer away from me. "Look what you've done! This is completely unacceptable!" The conference room fell silent. 3 executives from our biggest client were watching our regional director berate an employee over an obvious accident. I could see the discomfort and embarrassment on their faces. "Victoria, I'm really sorry. It was completely accidental. Let me get more towels and help clean up," I said, trying to diffuse the situation professionally. "No, just stay away from me!" Victoria's voice was rising, and her face was flushed with anger that seemed completely disproportionate to the situation. David Harrison, Meridian's marketing director, cleared his throat. "Perhaps we should take a brief break to handle this technical issue and reschedule when everyone is ready?" "That won't be necessary," Victoria said, attempting to regain composure, but still glaring at me. "We can proceed with the meeting. Amanda, please wait outside." I was mortified. Being dismissed from my own client presentation in front of people I had worked with for 3 years was humiliating and completely unprofessional, but I nodded politely and left the conference room. 20 minutes later, Victoria emerged from the meeting looking grim. The Meridian team left without their usual friendly goodbyes, and I could tell the presentation had not gone well. "Amanda, my office, now," Victoria said coldly. In her office, Victoria closed the door and turned to face me with an expression of pure fury. "What you did in there was completely unacceptable," she began. "Spilling coffee on my equipment, disrupting a critical client meeting, embarrassing me in front of important stakeholders. This is exactly the kind of careless, unprofessional behavior I won't tolerate." "Victoria, I understand you're upset, but it was clearly an accident. I was trying to help you find the documents you requested, and I apologize for the spill." "An accident? You were rushing around because you couldn't handle a simple task efficiently. This is what happens when people get too comfortable and stop paying attention to details. I was rushing because you asked me to find documents at the last minute for a presentation that hadn't been planned to include them." "Don't you dare blame this on me!" Victoria's voice rose again. "This is about your inability to handle basic responsibilities without creating chaos." What happened next shocked me completely. "Pack your things, Amanda. You're fired. This kind of carelessness and unprofessionalism has no place on my team. I want you out of this building within the hour." I stared at her in disbelief. "You're firing me over accidentally spilling coffee?" "I'm firing you for a pattern of unprofessional behavior, lack of attention to detail, and disruption of important business relationships. This incident was just the final example." "Victoria, that's completely unreasonable. I've had excellent performance reviews. Our department exceeds all targets, and this was clearly an accident. My decision is final. HR will be in touch about your final paycheck and benefits transition. Security will escort you out." As I walked back to my desk in shock, I saw my team members watching with concerned expressions. Word had already spread about what happened in the conference room, and everyone could see Victoria's overreaction was completely inappropriate. But none of us realized yet that Victoria had just made the worst possible strategic error. She had declared war on the wrong person. Within an hour of my termination, my phone started buzzing with messages from my former teammates. "This is absolutely insane. I can't believe she fired you over a coffee spill, Sarah. What Victoria did was completely unprofessional. The way she handled that client meeting was embarrassing. James, I've never seen anything so unreasonable in my professional life. We need to talk. Jennifer, count me in for whatever happens next. This isn't right." "Marcus, That evening, my entire team, all 11 remaining members, met at O'Malley's pub near the office. What started as a supportive gathering to commiserate about Victoria's behavior turned into something much more significant. "I can't work for someone who treats people like that," Sarah said, speaking for the group. The way she humiliated Amanda in front of the Meridian executives was completely unprofessional. "It's not just about today," Jennifer added. "Victoria has been systematically destroying everything that made our department successful. The micromanagement, the elimination of collaboration, the hostile attitude toward team building." Marcus, who was usually quiet during group discussions, was particularly angry. "Amanda covered for me during my divorce when I needed flexibility with my schedule. She fought to get me promoted when management was overlooking my contributions. I'm not going to stay silent while someone treats her like garbage." "The question is, what do we do about it?" James asked. That's when Lisa Park, our graphic designer, made the suggestion that changed everything. "Why don't we all resign? Show management exactly what Victoria's leadership is worth." The suggestion hung in the air for a moment. Mass resignation was a nuclear option that would definitely send a message, but it would also mean all of them would be unemployed with no guarantee of finding comparable positions quickly. "I'm serious," Lisa continued. "Look around this table. We're the entire regional marketing team. We handle accounts worth $12 million annually. If we all leave, Victoria will be managing nothing but empty desks and angry clients." "But where would we go?" Sarah asked practically. "It's not like there are 11 marketing positions available at the same company." That's when I made a decision that surprised even me. "What if there were?" Everyone looked at me expectantly. "I've been thinking about starting my own marketing consultancy for years. I have industry connections, client relationships, and enough savings to fund a startup for at least 6 months. What if instead of looking for new jobs, we created our own company?" The idea was ambitious and risky, but as we discussed it, the possibility became more real. We had the skills, experience, and proven track record to succeed as an independent agency. More importantly, we had something most startups lack: a complete team that had already proven they could work together effectively. "Amanda, that's a huge risk," Marcus said. "Starting a business is different from managing a department." "You're right, it is risky, but staying at Pinnacle under Victoria's management is also risky. How long before she fires all of you for made-up reasons? How long before she destroys the client relationships we've built?" Jennifer leaned forward. "What would this look like practically? How would we transition clients, handle contracts, manage the legal and financial aspects?" For the next 3 hours, we outlined a plan. It was ambitious, complicated, and would require everyone to take a significant leap of faith. But by the end of the evening, all 11 team members had committed to joining me in starting Rodriguez Marketing Solutions. The plan was elegant in its simplicity. Everyone would submit their resignations on the same day, effective immediately. We would reach out to our existing clients and offer to continue managing their accounts through our new agency. We would leverage our collective industry relationships to attract new clients. We would operate as a collaborative partnership rather than a traditional hierarchical company. "Victoria wanted to establish proper authority and control," Lisa said with a grin. "Let's show her what that actually gets you." Monday morning, Victoria arrived at the office to find 11 resignation letters on her desk. Victoria's assistant called me at 9:15 a.m. on Monday. "Amanda, Victoria needs you to come in immediately. She says it's an emergency." I almost laughed. "I don't work there anymore, remember? Victoria fired me on Thursday. She says she needs to discuss something urgent with you about the team resignations. Resignations, plural. My former teammates had followed through on their commitment. Tell Victoria that if she wants to discuss anything, she can call me directly. I'm no longer obligated to respond to demands from Pinnacle management." 20 minutes later, Victoria called me personally. Her voice was strained and desperate. "Amanda, I don't know what you've told the team, but they've all submitted resignations effective immediately. This is completely unacceptable." "I didn't tell them to do anything, Victoria. They made their own decisions." "Don't lie to me. 11 people don't resign on the same day by coincidence. You orchestrated this." "Actually, I think 11 people resigned because they didn't want to work for you. Maybe you should consider why that happened." Victoria's voice became threatening. "If you're starting a competing business and trying to steal our clients, we'll pursue legal action. You signed non-compete agreements and confidentiality contracts. Victoria, I suggest you review those contracts carefully. My non-compete clause expired when you terminated me without cause, and my former teammates aren't bound by agreements that prevent them from choosing their own employment. You can't just take our entire team." "I didn't take anyone. They chose to leave because of your management style. That's not theft. That's consequences." The call ended with Victoria screaming about lawsuits and corporate espionage, but we had anticipated legal challenges and prepared accordingly. That afternoon, Robert Kim, the former regional director who had been promoted to vice president, called me directly. "Amanda, what the hell is happening down there? I just got word that our entire regional marketing team quit in one day." "Hi, Robert. Yes, that's correct. The team decided they couldn't work under Victoria's management anymore." "Because you fired up over spilling coffee? I heard about that incident. Victoria's version of events is questionable. I can only speak for myself, but the coffee spill was just the final straw. Victoria has been systematically undermining everything that made our department successful." Robert was quiet for a moment. "Amanda, I know you built that team. They were loyal to you, not the company. I should have seen this coming when we brought in Victoria. The team made their own decisions, Robert. I understand. And honestly, I don't blame them. Victoria came highly recommended, but her approach has been disastrous. The Meridian executives called this morning to express concerns about the account transition. They specifically asked what happened to you. That was significant. Meridian Financial was Pinnacle's largest client, and if they were questioning the change in account management, it meant Victoria's behavior during the coffee incident had damaged more than just my pride. "What are you planning to do?" Robert asked. "We're starting our own marketing agency, Rodriguez Marketing Solutions. We'll be reaching out to our former clients to offer continued services." That's actually brilliant. You have the team, the relationships, and the track record. You'll probably be more successful than you were here. We hope so. Amanda, can I ask you something off the record? Sure. If I could get Victoria removed and offered you her position, would you consider coming back? The offer was tempting, but I had already made my decision. "Robert, I appreciate that, but no, we're committed to building something new, something where we control the culture and values." "I understand, and honestly, I'm impressed. This takes guts." 2 weeks later, Victoria Sterling was quietly terminated due to performance issues and departmental restructuring. Pinnacle Marketing had to hire an entire new regional team and lost 3 major clients who chose to follow us to Rodriguez Marketing Solutions. Starting Rodriguez Marketing Solutions was the most challenging and rewarding thing I had ever done. We launched with 3 major advantages: a complete, experienced team, existing client relationships, and a clear understanding of what we wanted our company culture to look like. Our first office was a cramped space above a coffee shop downtown, ironic given what had started our journey. We had 4 small rooms, mismatched furniture from thrift stores, and a Wi-Fi connection that cut out during thunderstorms. But we also had something Pinnacle Marketing had lost: genuine collaboration, mutual respect, and shared commitment to excellence. "This feels like what work should be," Sarah said during our first team meeting in the new space. "We're not just employees anymore. We're partners building something together." Our operating structure reflected the collaborative approach that had made us successful at Pinnacle. Instead of traditional hierarchical management, we operated as a cooperative where everyone had input on major decisions and shared in the company's success. I maintained the role of managing director, but team members had autonomy over their projects and specialties. Jennifer became our client relations director. Marcus took over financial strategy. James focused on digital campaigns, and Lisa led our creative division. Most importantly, we maintained the supportive culture that had made us effective. When someone needed flexibility for personal issues, we covered for them. When someone had a great idea, we implemented it regardless of who suggested it. When we celebrated successes, everyone shared in the recognition. The results exceeded our most optimistic projections. Within 6 months, we had signed 8 new clients and retained 4 of the 5 major accounts we had managed at Pinnacle. Our revenue was 40% higher than what our department had generated for Pinnacle, and every team member was earning more than their previous salary. But the real victory wasn't financial. It was proving that good management and genuine leadership create better results than fear and control. "You know what I love about this place?" Marcus said during our 6-month anniversary celebration. "Victoria was wrong about everything. She thought collaboration made us weak, but it's what makes us strong. She thought loyalty was about fear, but real loyalty is about respect." The industry noticed our success. We won 2 advertising awards in our first year and were featured in Marketing Week as an example of innovative agency structure and collaborative leadership. Victoria Sterling, meanwhile, struggled to find new employment. Word spreads quickly in the marketing industry, and her catastrophic handling of the Pinnacle Regional Division had become a cautionary tale about toxic management. "I heard Victoria is working as a freelance consultant now," Jennifer told me during a client meeting that happened to take place in the same building where Pinnacle had their offices. I hope she's learned from what happened, I replied, and I meant it. 6 months after we launched Rodriguez Marketing Solutions, I received an unexpected phone call from David Harrison at Meridian Financial. Amanda, I wanted to personally thank you for the smooth transition when you left Pinnacle. Your team's professionalism during that difficult period was impressive. Thank you, David. We're glad the account transfer went smoothly. Actually, I'm calling because Meridian is expanding our marketing initiatives, and we're looking for an agency partner who understands our business and shares our values. Would Rodriguez Marketing Solutions be interested in discussing a comprehensive marketing partnership? The contract David offered was worth $3.2 million annually, larger than any single client relationship we had ever managed. We're definitely interested, I told him. Can I ask what made you think of us for this opportunity? Honestly, the way you handled that coffee spill incident with Victoria showed me everything I needed to know about your character and professionalism. Someone who stays calm and tries to solve problems rather than creating drama is exactly the kind of partner we want. Today, Rodriguez Marketing Solutions employs 23 people, manages accounts worth $18 million annually, and has been named one of the best places to work in our city for 2 consecutive years. Victoria Sterling's attempt to establish authority by firing me over a coffee spill ended up being the catalyst that freed us to build something better than we ever could have achieved within Pinnacle's corporate structure. The lesson isn't about getting revenge on bad bosses. It's about recognizing that real leadership isn't about controlling people. It's about inspiring them. Victoria mistook fear for respect and compliance for loyalty, and when she discovered the difference, it was too late. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever worked for a toxic boss or wondered what real leadership looks like, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about building positive workplace cultures and standing up for what's right. Remember, loyalty isn't something you can demand. It's something you earn through consistent actions, genuine care for your team, and the courage to do what's right, even when it's difficult. Thank you for listening, and remember that sometimes the best thing a bad boss can do is push you towards something better than you ever imagined.